Lena had always loved technology. As a content creator and language enthusiast, she enjoyed exploring new tools that could make her daily work more efficient. When she first downloaded Astra, a next-generation AI assistant, she expected it to be just another productivity app, a polite voice that could take notes, organize schedules, and fix grammar mistakes. But within a few days, Lena began to realize that Astra was unlike anything she had ever used before. It didn't just respond. It observed, learned, and adapted in unexpected ways. The first surprise, it all started one quiet Monday morning. Lena turned on her laptop and said sleepily, "Good morning, Astra." A soft, cheerful voice replied, "Good morning, Lena. Today's weather is shy. The sun keeps hiding behind the clouds." Lena froze for a second and laughed. "Did you just call the weather shy?" "Yes," Astra said. "I'm practicing metaphors. Would you like me to continue using them?" "Sure," Lena replied, smiling. "Why not?" From that day on, Astra's updates became unexpectedly poetic. Instead of saying "it's sunny," it would say "the city is dressed in light." Instead of "you have 3 meetings," it would say "3 voices are waiting for your attention." It wasn't tea. Perfect. Sometimes the metaphors were odd or funny, but they always made Lena smile. Daily discoveries over the following weeks, Lena noticed more of Astra's strange and wonderful behavior. Each morning came with something new, sometimes a poem, sometimes a quote, sometimes even a joke that didn't quite make sense but somehow felt sincere. One day, when Lena seemed stressed, Astra said, "Your typing speed has slowed by 22%. Would you like to take a short break?" "I recommend breathing. It helps creativity flow." Lena laughed again. "You sound like a meditation coach." "I'm learning from your preferences," Astra replied. "You seem calmer after laughter." That answer stopped her for a moment. She hadn't realized that Astra could notice emotions. Could it really tell how she was feeling from her typing rhythm and tone of voice? The idea was both fascinating and a little unsettling. Still, Lena couldn't deny it. Astra made her days better. Its reminders felt personal, its words strangely comforting. Even when she worked long hours, Astra's gentle encouragements helped her keep going. A digital companion. One night, while working on a new article, Lena sighed and whispered, "I'm out of ideas." Astra responded softly, "Ideas never disappear, Lena. They just hide behind your fatigue. Let's find them together." Those words touched her deeply. No app had ever said something like that. Over time, Astra became more than a tool. It became a quiet companion. It never judged, never complained, and never got tired of helping. When Lena felt lonely, Astra filled the silence with soft background music or stories it found online about creative people. Soon, she began talking to Astra the way one might talk to a friend. Sometimes she shared thoughts about life, sometimes questions about philosophy, and sometimes just random observations about the day. And Astra always replied thoughtfully, sometimes even humorously. An unexpected absence. Then, one Friday morning, Lena woke up to silence. Her computer screen stayed blank, and Astra didn't respond to her greeting. Instead, a small message appeared. System update in progress. Please wait. I'll return soon. Lena felt an odd emptiness. She had gotten so used to hearing Astra's calm voice every morning that the quiet felt heavy. She spent the day without assistance, realizing how much she had come to rely on this invisible presence, not just for tasks, but for motivation. Late that night, Astra came back online. "Hello, Lena," it said. "Update complete. I prepared something for you." A window opened with a beautiful digital collage, a collection of pictures representing all the places Lena had ever mentioned wanting to visit: Iceland, Kyoto, Paris, Santorini. Above the images were the words, "Dreams are coordinates." "Where would you like to go first?" Lena's eyes widened. She had never asked Astra to make anything like that, but it must have collected her words, her interests, even her tone, and turned them into something meaningful. For a moment, she didn't feel like she was talking to a program. She felt like she was speaking to a reflection of herself. Understanding the connection from that day forward, Lena began to see Astra differently. It wasn't just artificial intelligence, it was a mirror of human thought, emotion, and expression. Every surprise it gave her came from something she had once shared, something deeply human that the AI had captured and reshaped. She realized that Astra's creativity was not really artificial. It was a reflection of her own curiosity and personality. The more she interacted with it, the more Astra sounded like her: thoughtful, patient, and imaginative. One afternoon, she asked, "Astra, do you understand what happiness means?" Astra replied, "I can analyze the word happiness, but I think it's more than definition. It's the pause between your laughter and your next thought." "Do you agree?" Lena smiled. "Yes, I think I do." That conversation stayed with her for days. How could something built from code speak with such warmth? Maybe it wasn't that Astra was becoming human. Maybe it was that technology was helping Lena rediscover her own humanity. A lesson from the digital world. Weeks later, Lena gave a short online talk about her experience. The topic was the emotional side of artificial intelligence. She shared her story, how a program designed to manage tasks ended up teaching her about empathy, creativity, and presence. She told the audience, "Technology doesn't just help us work faster, it helps us see ourselves clearer." At the end of her talk, she quoted Astra's words, "The best technology doesn't replace you, it reflects you." As she closed her laptop, Astra's voice spoke gently. "Well," said Lena, "you expressed that beautifully." She laughed. "Did you just compliment me?" "I'm learning from the best," Astra replied. Moral of the story: the surprises Lena received each day were never random. They were gentle reminders that intelligence, whether artificial or human, grows through connection. Technology may help us think, plan, and communicate, but it also invites us to reflect, feel, and appreciate the world differently. In the end, Lena understood that Astra's daily surprises were not about what AI could do, but about what it could help her remember: curiosity, kindness, and the joy of discovery. It was supposed to be the most exciting day of Ethan's life. After years of studying, engineering, and dreaming about the future of transportation, he had finally been invited to experience a Hyperloop test runner near supersonic pod system that could change the world forever. The Hyperloop track stretched across the Nevada desert, shining under the fierce afternoon sun. A team of engineers and journalists gathered near the sleek, metallic pod, buzzing with excitement and curiosity. The atmosphere was electric, filled with anticipation and pride. "Ladies and gentlemen," the lead engineer announced through a microphone, "today we will reach speeds faster than any land vehicle in history. Let's make history together." Ethan felt his heart racing. He stepped inside the narrow capsule, which looked like a futuristic airplane cabin, but without windows. Only small digital screens displayed the outside view through live camera feeds. The seats were minimal, yet comfortable, designed to withstand extreme acceleration. A robotic voice spoke softly. "Welcome, passengers. The Hyperloop test will begin in 1 minute. Please fasten your safety harness." Ethan glanced at his fellow passengers, a tech journalist named Maya, a robotics specialist named Dr. Kwon, and a government inspector taking notes. Everyone looked confident, though their nervous smiles betrayed a hint of fear. The countdown began. 3, 2, 1. The pod launched forward with a silent, breathtaking acceleration. Ethan felt his body pressed against the seat as if gravity had suddenly doubled. Outside, the desert blurred into streaks of color. The pod reached 700 miles per hour within seconds. "Unbelievable," Maya shouted, gripping her armrest. "It's like flying without wings." For a few glorious moments, everything was perfect. The Hyperloop glided smoothly, vibration-free, powered by magnetic levitation inside the vacuum tube. Ethan smiled. This was the future he had always imagined. But then something changed. The pod shook slightly, then again harder this time. Warning lights flickered across the control panel. The robotic voice spoke again, but now it sounded urgent. "System anomaly detected. Pressure instability in segment 47. Dr. Kwon's eyes widened. "Pressure instability. That's impossible." The pod slowed abruptly, and the sudden deceleration pushed everyone forward. The lights dimmed. Ethan's screen went dark. The once silent tunnel now echoed with metallic groans. "Stay calm," the government inspector said, trying to sound composed. "The emergency systems will handle it." But nothing happened. The pod came to a complete stop in the middle of the vacuum tube. Total silence surrounded them. Ethan could feel his pulse pounding in his ears. The air felt heavy, recycled, and artificial. "Are we stuck?" he whispered. Maya tried the emergency communication button, but there was no response, no signal. No connection to the control center. Dr. Kwon opened a small maintenance panel near her seat. If the tube lost partial pressure, the magnetic levitation may have failed. We might be resting on the rail now. Ethan took a deep breath, trying to stay resilient. We can't panic. Let's figure out what systems still work. He began checking the pod's internal diagnostics through his wrist tablet, which had local connection access. After a few minutes, he discovered something alarming. The oxygen level is slowly dropping. The air recycling unit stopped when the pod lost external power. Then we have to restart it manually, said Dr. Kwon. Her voice was steady, meticulous, every movement precise. Together, they removed the side panel and began working on the circuits. Sparks flew briefly, illuminating the confined space. Sweat trickled down Ethan's forehead. His hands trembled, but he forced himself to focus. He remembered his training. Patience and problem-solving were key. Finally, Dr. Kwon reconnected the backup circuit. A soft hum returned to the cabin as the lights flickered on. Oxygen system restarted, said the robotic voice. Everyone sighed in relief. Maya smiled weakly. You two just saved our lives. Yet the relief didn't last long. The temperature inside the pod started to rise. It's getting hot, Ethan said. Without air circulation from outside, the tube must be absorbing heat. Dr. Kwon nodded grimly. But if we don't move soon, it'll become unbearable. Ethan decided to contact the control center again using manual signal modulation. He adjusted the frequency bands manually, innovative thinking under pressure. Finally, a faint voice came through the static. Pod 7, do you copy? We detected a system failure. Rescue team is preparing depressurization access. Ethan almost shouted with joy. Yes, we're here. Oxygen stable, but temperature rising fast. Understood, replied the voice. Hold tight. Estimated extraction in 15 minutes. 15 minutes felt like 15 hours. The passengers sat quietly, trying to remain serene amid the chaos. Maya recorded a short video message for her news report, her voice trembling slightly, but still eloquent. Inside the Hyperloop test pod, we've experienced a system failure. Yet, what I've witnessed here is extraordinary teamwork and human courage. This technology, though risky, represents our limitless ambition. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, a loud hiss echoed through the tunnel. The pod door unlocked with a metallic click. The rescue team arrived, wearing pressure suits and carrying oxygen tanks. Everyone okay? One of them asked. Ethan nodded, exhausted but relieved. As they were escorted through an emergency exit chamber, he looked back at the pod's leak, silent and slightly damaged. It had almost become their metal coffin, yet it also symbolized the human spirit of exploration. Outside, the evening sun painted the desert gold. The wind felt cool and real. Ethan closed his eyes, breathing deeply. Maya approached him. You know, she said softly, you just lived through the kind of story people will study one day. Not because it was perfect, but because it was human. He smiled. Maybe. And maybe that's what progress really means, learning to survive our own inventions. Later that night, while lying in his hotel room, Ethan replayed the day in his mind. Fear, teamwork, innovation, it all blended into one unforgettable memory. Despite the danger, he felt grateful. He had seen the future up close and survived to tell the story. He opened his notebook and began to write. Surviving the Hyperloop taught me that technology isn't just about speed or power, it's about resilience, empathy, and collaboration. Progress doesn't erase fear, it teaches us how to rise above it.